What's on your mind, dude? What's on your mind, kitty cat? Got so much. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's like 900 messages. I have not had a chance to get to any of those yet. All right, well, hello everybody. Hi, how's it going? Woo! It's not quite after dark yet. It's still getting dark out there. I'm in the office. It is still really, really warm in here. It is, what's the temperature? What does that say? Tell me now. Tell me, there you go, 82. It's 82 in the office. A bit warm. So, if my brain fails on me, it's because I have not cooled down at all today. I did eat a lot of dad plums. The dad plum tree is plummeted up right now. I ate so many of them. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Whew. There's a whole bunch more. They'll be ripe in the next couple of days. Oh boy. Floor dog's on the floor, cat's yonder. You can see his butt in the corner. So, things that happened today. We had, nice strong start to GME in the morning. Power hour. A lot of the people were looking at like the Doritos and saying, oh, it's going to break out. And it broke out the other direction because huge candles, 500,000, 900,000 candles were hitting, just dropping the price basically right at 3 o'clock Eastern. And it finished down after being up all day and having pretty good overnight, bouncing off 30. So my guess is the shorts hit it hard, hoping that they would shake loose a bunch of options traders because the weeklies are insane. The number of weeklies is absolutely bonkers right now. And I should have, it's after midnight in the East Coast. I probably should have gotten this up before. Oh, they still got open interest up. Okay. So that is the 19th. We still have 28,000 on the 25s. We got 77,000 at $30 with another 48,000 that traded today. And most of those were buys. So the gamma ramp is still gigantic. Last I looked, 2450 was the max pain. So we got 3,000, 30,000, 40,000, 54,000. So we got 5.4 million in the money currently, with the potential to put another almost 10 million shares in the money. So if we break 30 at close on Friday, we'll put about 10 million shares or more in the money. The next big jump I think is up at 40. Yeah, there's another 3.8 million shares at 40 ready to go. So there was a lot of trust me bros that were saying today was going to be the day. It was trading weird all day long, and is what it is. Ryan Cohen tweeted out Trump over and over again, and gross. I'd have no doubt that there's some double meaning to what he was doing. People were pointing to a rule of like 685 Trump rule, which has to do with merging with companies and, absorbing all their things. I'll look into that one more. When I started reading all about that was when I had to go visit my mom and do a puzzle with her. So I didn't finish all my reading. Biden said in an interview that he would consider stepping down if there was health concerns. Like a doctor told him, hey man, you should probably step down. And then almost immediately after that, it's revealed he's got COVID. He had a pretty slow climb up the steps of Air Force One. Here's my theory, is that Biden in summer 2022, he got COVID and he got it pretty good. And people over 65 who've gotten COVID and had it fairly serious have noticed a significant cognitive decline. It's just what happens. It gets into your brain and starts just obliterating neurons. I think he has the effects of long COVID and has for the last couple of years, and it's sped up his aging process. Because remember, just 4 years ago, actually 2 years ago, he was riding bicycles like every day. He's on his fancy road bike, riding around. He was jogging up the steps of Air Force One. And now he looks like he's about to teeter and shatter into 1,000 pieces if he falls over. And so, you know, it doesn't help the narrative that, oh, he's a doddering old man, because he's a doddering old man. And it sounds like Schumer and others and Jeffries are kind of setting the stage so that they can present someone else as the nominee at the Democratic National Convention. Now this could work in favor of the Democrats in that if they get somebody who's energetic and knows how to be an asshole during a debate, then they will dominate. If they get someone who's energetic but is too nice and gets pushed over in debate, I think they still might win, because there's a lot of people who are just sick of Trump. I know we've got viewers who are like, "Oh, Trump's awesome," and then a lot of people on Twitter are like, "He's the best ever." But cities are where people live. 80% of America is urban, and if you're in urban areas, he is not popular. If you're out in the sticks, out in the Tules, where there are no people and there's sagebrush and cornfields, Trump is very popular, but there aren't very many of you. 70% of the U.S. economy is derived from the counties that Biden won in 2020. In 2016, it was 67% was in those counties, and it's only been consolidated more since then. So it's gonna be something to watch. It's just we're in the dumbest timeline that's ever existed. You know it, I know it, Bob Dole knows it, and here we are. Sweating our balls off, watching assassination attempts and pandemics, and just shit's wild, man. It's wild. Here we are, and we're going to bong bling. Okay, oops. Turn it off, Houston. It's off. All the other ones off? I think they're all off. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so what's on your minds? I think I went through the news of the day. Yes. I am curious to see what GME's going to do tomorrow. With 5+ million shares in the money, the chance to put another 10 million in the money if the price moves $3.50. That's going to be... right? Price moves $3 for some reason tomorrow. It's going to start to get crazy. Do they have enough ammo to short it down? That's the question. Because that is a lot of contracts. That's a lot of contracts, and who knows how many of them are Keith Gill, if Keith Gill has any of them. There could be, I mean, just look at this thing. Look at this. Of course, that's not showing up at all, so we got to click on that, and I got to click on that. There we go. All right. So right here is Max Payne. No one gives a shit, right? No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. Look at that. It's just rookie numbers all the way down there. The minute 50 cents over Max Payne, shabam, 28,000 plus whatever 5,000 traded today. And we go, there's another 10. There's another 10. There's another 6. So we get to 28. We're putting well over 5 million shares in the money. We get to 30 and shaboom. Look at that sucker. 7 million shares right there. 7.7 million. With possibly, depending on how these things traded today, which I think most of them were buys, looking at reports from like Unusual Whales and others, that might be 100,000 shares. Or sorry, 10 million shares, 100,000 contracts sitting there. And so it seems to me that a lot of people are thinking that this sucker is going to move tomorrow, especially. Now, if the volume gets nuts, you always have to watch out, because Ryan Cohen may rug pull us all again, and Friday at 3 a.m. throws out a notice that they're going to dilute some more. So, But here we sit. Just look at those now. Just look at that. Wowee. Okay. Kelly Reid's first. Canada's #1 tonight. Kelly Reid, in Canada, there's a bunch of articles stating that Canada's economy has achieved a soft landing. Appears strong when you're weak. Unemployment rising, GDP declining. What are they smoking? That might be their definition of a soft landing. Is that they're like, hey, unemployment's rising, but it's not as bad as it could be. GDP is declining, but it's not as bad as it could be. The one thing Canada has going for it is that you are so abundant in natural resources that when all else fails, you can just rely on making everybody go mine stuff. So there you go. You still need to figure out your housing situation and realize that you have like infinite acreage to put your meager population on, and that you don't need to be charging a boatload for homes. But that's because you have a whole bunch of Saudis and Hong Kong and Russians all owning too much property in Canada. And live and learn. Mark Sloan second, sometimes Sommelier third. One on the entity first-ish. Mark Sloan, Houston. Do you think GME is going to start going back up this week? They sure hammered it down late today. There's still a lot of shares in the money, so they have to do a lot of work to hammer this thing down. But with the amount of calls and purchase near the money, they may start having to delta hedge and purchase shares tomorrow to make sure they have them. Because with T+1, it's you really have to have those shares on hand and ready to go. Right, shout Monkey Butt and Fat Cat. Monkey Butt is hiding yonder. Orange Cat's here. I just realized Orange Cat's here. Hey, Orange Cat, I'm gonna hang out, buddy. Oh my goodness, look at that! What a gift, huh? Oh, you want coming over to say hi because I started petting the Orange Cat? And Fat Cat's on the floor right here with me. So we got a whole party in here. Orange Cat's not gonna be here much longer. Orange Cat and the kitten are moving out in 14 days, so 2 weeks. 2 weeks and they're gone, monkey. What will you do? Oh my goodness. So, maybe she's just like trying to pay her respects until she's got to go, huh? Oh, that's right. That's right. Make a sound. Make a sound. Make a sound. You can do it. Oh, there it is. All right. Orange hair on your head. Take that, monkey. Okay, so I got distracted because Orange Cat never visits me on purpose and hangs out in here. 4ZZ9, happy birthday, Houston. I'm hoping still for this week. Fingers crossed. Ditto. Fred Jones, apparently it was 665 times according to Michael. That's when I said one more time and you get the mark of the beast. ATV 666. I have no idea what any of that means, but all right. And everyone said, ooh. Danny Motes, Houston, happy birthday. I want to get into options. Can you run through basic buying play for GME? Understand you buy one option for less, but you have more to gain. Oh, man. Okay. So what I do with options, and I lose 4 times out of 5 with it, and the 5th time I gain big, and then I gamble it all and I lose. When volatility comes, like we're seeing some volatility. So I bought a whole bunch of options, or a whole bunch, about four options, about $700, bought 4 options at the money, at $26. Those doubled. And so I bought about 10 at $33, and I had a little bit of money left over, so about 1 at $40. So I'm sitting at $33 and $40. I was hoping that sucker would move up to 30 and change today, doubling the value of those $33 options. And at the end of today, I could sell and then buy somewhere else and keep it going. But that didn't quite happen. I'm still holding on to them. They dropped about 30% in value today. So if it's overnight or tomorrow, things get a little wild. Then I can reset again. But basically what I do is if the volatility is really high, I buy options pretty close to the money or at the money. Volatility goes, whee! Then I know the implied volatility percentage makes the premium prices really expensive. So that adds a whole bunch of value to your options. I will then, if it opens really strong or really high, usually they hammer it down pretty early, like right at open. So I will sell my options buy puts, write it down a few dollars, make, $100 each way, buy puts at the money, write down a few $100s. So basically I'll start doubling how much I have, maybe tripling it if I'm lucky. And then once it goes down after about, 45 minutes or an hour, it will usually start to spike again. So then I sell all those puts, I buy a whole bunch of call options, pretty darn close to the money, ride that sucker back up throughout the day. And more often than not recently with the volatility, power hour, particularly the last 30 minutes of the day, there's a huge buy pressure on the on the stock, and the stock will rise several percent. So once that happens and my options start to be in the money by quite a bit, depending on what the week's been doing, I will sell everything and then right before close, buy a whole bunch right at the new price. Because we saw back in May, we saw in June that in the after hours, when you had a big gain day, they would close the market and it would just go bonkers on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. And so when that would happen, I would have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars at open. I would sell everything, buy puts again, write it back down. And write that down for 45 minutes or an hour, and then buy a whole bunch of calls and write it back up. My problem is that was working great all the way till Thursday the 6th, and the price was closed at like, $50, somewhere around there. I had a whole bunch at 47 and a whole bunch at 50. And overnight, it went to like 65. And I was like, oh, baby, it's going to open so huge in the morning. I'll have like 130K. It's going to be amazing. And I was going to do the exact same thing. I was going to sell everything at open with the huge implied volatility, buy hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of daily puts, like the stuff that was going to close that day. Write that down, because they were going to hammer it down 10 to 20% when it opened. And then with that money, I would be able to buy between 3,000 and 7,000 calls at the money. And that alone would have triggered a whole bunch of buying by the options sellers, because they're like, oh my God, this guy just bought 7,000 calls at the money and the sucker closes in a couple hours. We need to make sure we have these shares. And then you'd get the power hour push and everything as more and more options with money. And then Houston retires. What happened that Thursday overnight on the 6th, where the price was just going nucking futs, was that before open, GameStop said, let us dump 75 million shares in the market. And the price went from 65 plus down to $30. And then that was it. So if you can play options, you can do degenerate way here, degenerate gambler way, or you can be smart, take your like 20% win every time you buy options and then get out and then buy more long term. And that's the smart way of doing it. And for me, that's the boring way of doing it. I do buy something like that. I do buy like, okay, this sucker might go up and maybe in the next 2 months I'll buy an option that far out. And I get wins out of it too. But when the volatility is here, that's the time to have fun. And that's what I shoot for. Because I got my shares. If it moasses, I'll be fine. What I want is an options win, so I don't have to depend on MOAS to sell shares to be fine. I want to be like, oh, I'm good without it. I can just sit on my shares forever. And that's why why I do it. In May, I came really close. I had turned that into, how much, what was it, Monkey? It's like 50K. And then they diluted and I got hammered. And then they did it again in June. I got up to, 60K at close. It would have opened at 130 or so. Had that $65 plus in the opening price. And then back in 2022, I had taken like $180 and turned it into 109,000 trading options and bouncing back and forth between GameStop, AMC, and Bed Bath & Beyond on that one. And then I had 50 call options at $9 on BBBY. And the price was at 30 something dollars that Thursday. And then overnight, Ryan Cohen said, I'm out. And the price went down to $5 at open. And that was it. Oh, well, so close each time. Each time a filing from Ryan destroyed my ability to retire. Oh well, such is life. So. Anyway. Sometimes sommelier. Oh yeah, you actually want to know how to buy options. You can read books on it. You'll learn. You can play paper trade, which, paper trading, because you're not actually putting any money in there, you trade differently than when you actually have money in it, I'll be honest. Or you can just take some money, use it as a lesson in hard knocks, and start playing. That's kind of how I ended up doing it, and reading as I went along and learning everything. But yeah, if you're playing options, you're a degenerate gambler. Unless you're buying deep in the money options. If you're doing that, you're rich. Rich people buy deep in the money options because they're happy with like 5-10% gains and things like that. But also oftentimes they want to just be able to have the opportunity to buy shares at a later price no matter what. And so, yeah, that's what Nancy Pelosi does. Nancy buys in the money options, but she's rich. Poor people, we have to take a little bit more risk to be able to hopefully someday be rich so we can do all the safe stuff. And that's why DFV is buying in the money options. He's rich. You can buy a shitload of options when you're rich in the money and be fine. But we cannot afford a shitload. We can afford 4 options here and 2 options there. So we have to be a little bit more loose, and take on a little more risk. Sometimes sommelier, is there anything of interest in NextBridge 10K? Also, can you offer insight? MMTLP shareholder Scott Trott's lawsuit looks juicy. So MMTLP announced that they rejiggered their 10K. Basically, their accounting firm couldn't be trusted, and so they had to go back and re-audit all of their stuff over the last couple of years, and that's what they announced. They didn't necessarily announce that all of it has been audited and finished being audited, but they sort of announced that they're in the process of doing that. The lawsuit is a RICO case against GTS, specifically Rubenstein. I've not had the chance to look through the complaint yet. I just saw a brief little blip that was popped up there. But basically what he's doing is he is suing, claiming that there's RICO violations. And RICO is racketeering. Racketeering is when you are in cahoots with other people to commit a crime. And if you've got a conspiracy of 3 or more people, you can get racketeered. You can face RICO charges. So if you can prove that like GTS and Concord Genuity were in cahoots with a third party, FINRA, someone else, to get the ticker trading when it shouldn't, and to get the ticker removed when it shouldn't have been removed, right? If you can show that these people were in contact with each other to manipulate this, then you've proven RICO. And if you can bust any one of those people for it, you can bust all of them for it. Now, there is civil suit RICO, and then there's criminal RICO. And a civil suit, it's a little looser. A criminal, you got to show that a felony was committed and that everyone was all part of it and so on. But if you can convict one of them for it, you can convict all of them for it at that point. I don't know if he's got a lawyer, if he's doing it all himself. If he's pro se. If he's pro se, it's probably going to get doomed. If there is an actual lawyer involved, slight chance, slight benefit. It would be a monetary damage. I'm not sure who the monetary damage, who it would go to, if it would go to him or if it would go to the feds. I think I remember talking with Rosa that if it's RICO, that it goes to the feds and not the individual. But it would open, discovery would open criminal proceedings and investigations and stuff like that. So I wish we'd get Rosa on here and she could clarify for us, right, Monkey? Right, Floor Dog? Trevor's here. Billy. Good morning, Houston. Any chance you've heard from William Morgan? He seems to have gone missing. It's been around 3 months since I've last heard from him. He's popped up in the chat here. I think his Twitter account got vaporized. But he pops up in the chat every once in a while. Last week he was in the chat, so he's around. He's doing stuff. I haven't gotten a message from him either because I don't think his Twitter account exists anymore. Louis here. Michael Tucker. He's GME gonna run past 30 tomorrow? I hope so. Yeah, Kyle Cooper. My Pac Northwest brother. I'm actually getting to watch live. Just got off work bartending in northern Minnesota. 2 hours to Canada by canoe. 6 hours by car. You ever gone through... What's that fort? Oh crap, it's the weirdest border crossing I've ever seen in my entire life. Fort George? Is that what it was? Fort George? It's in Minnesota, in western Minnesota, I believe. And you I've talked about before, you pass through a lumber yard. Like you're in the middle of a giant lumber mill, and it's just the weirdest thing. Where was I? Fort George, International Falls, Baudette. What was that place called? Charles Rainier, Oranier, Crane Lake. I thought it was west. Border, Baudette, International Falls, Oranier, Rainy Lake, Crane Lake. Fort George, what's the name of that? Fort George? Minnesota? No. Gosh dang it. Fort, what's your name? Fort, what's your name? Green Lake. Where were you? I drove up that side, cut across, went across some border crossing, went over Thunder Bay. Duh. There's Thunder Bay. So maybe I cut all the way across. That's not good. I didn't go through it here. I went through Pigeon River on my way back. And then Prairie Portage, Lac La Croix, Kettle Falls, International Falls. Is it International Falls that I went through? No, that's a river. Definitely not that one. Okay. So, border, Hackett, Wheeler's Point. There's that weird doohickey. And then Longworth, Pine Creek. I'm going to spend so much time trying to find this stupid place. What was the name of that dadgum border crossing? Border Stratton, Manitoba. I swear. Maybe it was International Falls. Border services. No, that's definitely a normal border checkpoint and not at all a lumberyard. That is another normal border crossing, not at all lumberyard. Okay. Border crossing that is a lumberyard, Minnesota. Where the hell are you? Kettle Falls, Lac La Croix. So many little lakes and things. Saginaw. I'm going to spend forever looking for this. What's it called? Where did I cross? It was like 15 years ago. Some of the mind is getting weak here. Whatever. We won't find it. I'll click it in my head, and then I turn off the show, and it gets down to like 78 degrees. I'll be like, oh, that's what it was. That's what the name of it. Okay. Where was I? Something about Canada. Were there any questions there? There were no questions. All right. Boundary Waters, Canoe Wilderness Area, baby. That's when my mom did Outward Bound in the Boundary Waters. And basically they gave her an orange and like bug spray. They're like, find your way home. And so they did. Charles Bronson, Houston. I have Fidelity. I need exact instructions on how to buy, sell option calls. Also, how soon can I sell before expiration date? I have no clue about options. You can sell at any time you want before expiration date. Depending on the broker, you may need to get permission to trade those options all day on the date of expiration. Otherwise, they get put into an automatic sell, or we can roll them over. Usually the best thing to do is if you are coming close to expiration and you're not even close to in the money, is to do a rollover and pick up calls the following week and pay the extra change it will cost to do that. On Fidelity, you click on the option in your portfolio, and you should have the option of selling it or exercising it. I don't know how else to describe that. You click on it, and then there's sell or exercise buttons in there. That's how you do it. I'm sure there's a picture of that. Monkey, why are you staring? Come on, why are you staring at me? Quit staring at me. Seriously. Fine. Stinky cookie. I'll give you a stinky cookie, stinky bacon cookie. Take that. You show everybody your face. There you go. All right. Stinky bacon cookie achieved. I think those ones are for avocados, right? All right. Belgian whale. You know, drinking alcohol makes you sleepy, makes your sleep quality worse and wake up too early. So here we are. It's you, morning to me, Houston. Oh, welcome. Yeah, it's very early for you. LMF 161, Ryan Cohen is not like us. I mean, billionaires are billionaires. They definitely have their little billionaire club. I was reading a thing today about JD Vance, and Peter Thiel was really pushing for him, among a couple other select VC tech billionaires. And what they've been trying to do, and what JD Vance has been wanting to do, and they want to devalue the US dollar. They want to make it worth absolutely nothing. They want to take it out of reserve currency. So when you see people talk about BRICS, oh, BRICS are going to replace everything, that's their people. That's their people. They want to devalue the US dollar because what JD Vance claims is it will make the labor force super cheap, and you'd be able to have a whole bunch of little minions working 20 hours a day just to keep a roof over their heads 7 days a week, and you can do anything you want to them. He wants our currency to be like China's currency, where they have hundreds of millions of people willing to basically work themselves to death without having any fun or vacations or extracurricular activities. Just work until you fucking die, and you will thank me for it. And that's what JD Vance wants. And why do they want to do that? Because all of them hold a whole bunch of Bitcoin, and they want Bitcoin to be the new reserve currency. That's it. That's their entire fucking techno babble douche bro Silicon Valley asswipe mentality. Is they want you to suffer and die at age 65, so you don't touch your retirement or your Social Security or anything else. You're just gonna die in the mill, drop dead. They'll drag your little body away, incinerate it, put it in a pauper's grave, and we'll be able to pump out whatever items or tchotchkes or what have yous at in huge quantities, and then sell that cheap plastic all over the world, just like China. And then they, as the overlords managing these sweatshops and slave plantations, they get to be bathed in the richness of all the bitcoins that they've consolidated. That's it. That is their exact desire. And there you go. So have fun with that. At least you'll die in either an industrial accident, your heart just giving out, and you won't ever have to worry about retirement. That's what you can vote for with JD Vance. So fuck that guy, and fuck Peter Thiel, and fuck Ken Griffin, and fuck Jamie Dimon. So Trump basically has said that Jamie Dimon or Ken Griffin will be your Treasury Secretary next. So he's not your fucking friend. He doesn't care about you. He cares about his little billionaire class buddies who have consolidated 97% of all Bitcoin in existence into 1% of wallets. And then they're going to go from there with that. And that's your future. Cyberpunk 77 or whatever. So, cool. Why is Jamie Dimon pro BTC all of a sudden? Because he's got a whole bunch of it. That's why. Yeah, Peter Thiel came, he's like, this is our plan. Because I'm a Bond villain. Jamie Dimon's like, tell me more. Oh, I guess what I'll do is I'll gobble up millions and millions of Bitcoins in my stupid little ETFs. And then I will control it. And now he has it. And he's good. You know, they talk about like, oh, crypto is going to decentralize. Really? Is crypto decentralized? if 97% of it is owned by 1% of the people, and that 1% is dominated by tech billionaires and banks, sounds like they control it more than they do the dollar at that point. Yeah. Warren McCowan, you've obviously not researched Vance. Dude, I have read more in a week than you have in your fucking lifetime, all right? I read more in a morning than you do in a year. Without a doubt, I spend all day reading. That's all I do. I read and I argue with people about what I've read. Like, oh my God. People are like, oh, obviously. That's my fucking job. I sit and I read all day long. I read everything. I read everything. That's my job. Jesus Christ. Every person who's ever told me, like, obviously I haven't done research on that, I could fucking crush you in a game of Jeopardy so astoundingly that you might commit suicide after it, because I will have broken any concept of your own self-worth after it. I would play a game of Trivial Pursuit. I will get 6 nubbins before you get 1. Why? Because I read all the time. It is my job. My job to read. I would crush you in any measure of intellect or knowledge you could possibly conceive of. IQ test, SAT, ACT, GRE, LSAT, MCAT, fucking Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I would whoop you. I would absolutely just, there'd be nothing but handprints on your ass from how much I whooped you. I would just obliterate you. That's just how it works. Because A, I got a big old cabeza, and B, I fill it with information 12 hours a day. And then I come on and do this little show. That's what I do. That's how I roll. So yes, I have read up on J.D. Vance. I have read his stupid fucking book where he made up a whole bunch of bullshit about his life where, you know, he's all about like, I don't think we should have no-fault divorce. When his drug addict parents had to get divorced and he had to go live with grandpa and grandpa. So if he had to be stuck in a house with abusive drug addict parents, do you think J.D. Vance would have ended up going to Harvard for law school? No, he wouldn't. He'd be on the streets of Cincinnati looking for, you know, how to get high. That's what he'd be doing. Like, they're stupid fundamentalist bullshit. Like, we want to get rid of no-fault divorce. We want to make sure that kids have both parents in the family. That's great in theory. But what if one of those parents is beating the shit out of everyone or raping the little kids in the family or whatever? Like, do you think kids would grow up in that environment? Should it be stuck with that for 18 years until they can finally escape it? Or do you think it'd be great if like one of the parents is like, okay, we got to get out of here, and they can file for no-fault divorce and go somewhere else, right? Like, is it great that if one of the parents is a complete monster, that the kid should have to be stuck with them because we believe in traditional marriage? No, it's not. Oh my God. Like, Jeopardy, a bunch of useless facts. You don't know any facts. You know useful facts, let alone useless facts. You cannot synthesize information if you don't know shit. If you cannot take multiple points of knowledge and formulate an idea out of them, how are you ever going to like solve a puzzle, a riddle, a problem, you know, foresee the outcome in the future? If you don't know your history and you don't know your math and you don't know your science, you cannot make a prediction of any kind that's accurate as to where society is going, where an experiment is going to go. You can't. That's just the way it is. So, like, don't tell people they haven't read enough, and then when you realize that they've read a whole bunch, be like, well, you read the wrong stuff. No, J.D. Vance sucks. He's a sucky little sucker. He He went off to Silicon Valley, worked for Peter Thiel as a VC, and then he wrote his stupid little book where he just made up a bunch of bullshit about his life and about Appalachia where he never lived. And then he ran for he made a charity back home in Ohio where he was going to help everybody who was suffering from opioid addiction, and then he used all that money to pay for a Senate campaign. That's his entire claim to fame. That's it. That's how he's done it. And inside all of that, he has adopted Peter Thiel's idea of collapsing the US dollar because Peter Thiel is a Bond villain. That's who he is. He wants AI little army robots through his Plantier. He wants to collapse the US dollar because, I mean, his dad was like a Nazi, and go from there. You know, but he's okay because he's got his bunker that he built in New Zealand. So when he destroys the world, he's just going to go hang out in New Zealand while the rest of us like have to eat each other and, you know, survive off the crumbs of society afterwards. But he's got his bunker, so he's okay. You can destroy the world if you got your Bond villain lair. No problem, man. It's just, like, oh my God. No, JD Vance is a sucky little suckington. And that's it. Everything in the Trumposphere is just a bunch of fucking assholes figuring out how to be the biggest asshole they possibly can in the entire world and get away with it. Right? Peter Thiel, asshole. Elon Musk, asshole. Ken Griffin, asshole. Jamie Dimon, asshole. Donald Trump, asshole. Donald Trump's kids, asshole, 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 asshole. Right? Like, I mean, how many cluster B personality disorders can you pack into one cause and then hope that something good comes out of it for you? I don't even know the answer to that. Like, what do you hope to get from? I had a guy tell me the other day that Trump will make a great president because he's a narcissist and he wants to be remembered as a great president. When have you ever met a narcissist who turned out to be just a rad dude? Right? Like, that guy's a total narcissist, therefore he's going to be way cooler and better than everyone else and do such a great job. That has never been the case. Ever. Like, you don't suddenly at 78 years old find yourself with a conscience and empathy. Real life is not a Christmas carol. Right? Donald Trump is not being visited by multiple ghosts in a night and wakes up and goes, man, have I been a colossal, horrible human being my entire life? Whew. I guess I'll get some turkeys for everybody. It doesn't happen. He's not going to do anything that helps you. He's not. It is going to be brutality through an administrative process because he's going to replace every competent person in the government with lackeys who swore an oath to him. You will never have a functioning administrative service ever again in this country as a result. It's going to be brutal. It is going to take us down faster than anything else in history. And there's a few points in history you can look at where like, oh, that was a shitty idea. That made things worse. We can go back to the Clinton administration, right? We can go back further than that. But if we go back to the Clinton administration, we can look at the 1996 Telecommunications Act. Easily the worst piece of legislation Clinton signed, and he also got rid of Glass-Steagall. So those two are just bruh. But the 1996 Telecommunications Act, prior to 1996, you could not own more than 2 television stations in a single market, and you could not own more than 8 across the country. And if you owned a television station, you couldn't own more than 2 radio stations. And if you had a newspaper, you could not have another newspaper in the same market. You had to go to another market. And I think you'd own up to like 8 of those newspapers in another market. So it went with radio, television, billboards, newspapers, any of those forms of media. You were limited to how much you could own, which meant all of these radio stations and advertisers and newspapers and television stations, they were all fairly small companies. Now, they had deals with larger networks, and those larger networks were not allowed to own those stations. 1996 Telecommunication Act went, oh, we're just going to get rid of all of it. And then all of a sudden you had Clear Channel, Fisher, St. Clair owning everything, or Sinclair, sorry, owning everything and dictating the narratives and firing local reporters and making it so it's almost impossible for you to get accurate and local news. And accurate local news is where you get information on local candidates who are running for office who become the candidates who run for federal office. So we basically broke this entire thing down just with Clinton in 1996, signing on to this bullshit that the Newt Gingrich Republicans wanted him to do. And then gets rid of Glass-Steagall, which allows the banks to start investing all of their money, and then we get 2008 and blah, blah, blah. You can go back to Reagan getting rid of the fairness doctrine so that we can now have, like, the Sinclairs of the world, have guys like Boris Epstein do is like, I am a smart guy who's going to tell you exactly like it is. Nazis are rad. Every day at the end of a local news broadcast. And then Boris Epstein is probably going to prison here for the fake electors thing, blah, blah, blah. But we are about to, or we're on the precipice of taking, like, every shitty thing that we've done probably since Nixon, right? You know, little things here and there, defunding the mental health hospitals, Glass-Steagall, Telecommunications Act, you know, eliminating the federal management of military housing, like just like little things all along the way that just like, oh, that made it worse, that made it worse, that made it worse. We're about to take 50 years of making things worse and probably pack them in to a month in January of next year if we elect Trump and JD Vance. Your dollar will be worthless because they will purposely make it worthless. They will obliterate the dollar so they get to have all the Bitcoin and be the kings of Bitcoin. And you might be lucky. You might have a couple Bitcoin or maybe a fraction of a Bitcoin or something. And that may be enough to like pay rent for a few months. But, you know, other than that, you're going to be in a factory with 100,000 other people pumping out widgets made out of plastic every day so that I don't know who they're going to sell them to because they would have just destroyed the largest consumer market in the world. But hey, they got their Bitcoin and they're cool because they live in bunkers, man. It's yeah. Especially when you got immunity and you're going to use it. Biden is the type of guy you're like, well, it'd be kind of wrong to push through all these things and utilize that immunity that the Supreme Court just gave me. Trump will not care. He will make everything an official act. And he'll be like, hey, kill every immigrant in America. It's official. And then, pew, 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 then kill all of them. And then maybe he might get impeached. But then he can be like, kill all the people who are going to vote for impeachment. And it's official act, so you can't bust him for it. Then all of a sudden, he's consolidated power in a way that is reminiscent of every other shitbag dictator on earth. And that's where we're going to be. So, yeah. So anyways, by all means, read up on JD Vance. Find out what just an absolute colossal bag of dicks that guy is. Okay, moving on. Striking Viking. Was Sean O'Brien speaking at the RNC a ballsy move, or was he played for a fool? I thought it took guts because he never endorsed Trump or the GOP and only spoke against big corporations. Sean O'Brien's is that the Teamsters guy? Every year the union guy speaks and no one claps at both at the Republican side especially. But I think the Teamsters Twitter account kept it real. So they did not pull any punches on that, and they basically were like, this is how it should roll. We should pay attention to people and be good and help workers and not endorse, like, Teamsters represent white people. They represent minorities. They represent LGBTQ. They represent women and men. So you cannot have a strong union based on unity if you discriminate against half of your members because of the wrong color or the wrong sex or the wrong sexual identification, or they like to have sex with the wrong people. The only way you can make a strong union is if all of you are united in one single goal, and that is making sure the company you work for pays you enough to live. That's it. So I think the Twitter account was hitting home runs on that one. Sean O'Brien, yeah, he got invited to speak because every year every convention they invite someone from like the Teamsters, AFL-CIO to pretend like they care about unions, but they don't. I mean, just look at what Trump did to the carrier plant, right? It's what was that quote he had? He's like, problem with unions is you give them 2% here and 5% there. Before long, they're making more than the CEO. That has never happened in the history of a company ever. The CEO is still making like 2,000 times their lowest paid employee. So there you go. Oh crap! I just realized I think I missed some super chats and my rants here. Okay, Keith Chapman. What do you think of the keto and carnivore diet? Seems like a lot of diseases are caused from excess sugar and insulin resistance. Everyone has a different system. They have different diets. They have different needs. Their bodies process things differently. And it all depends upon, a lot of times where your ancestors lived. If your ancestors are from tropical regions that got hit with storms a lot, you might have a feast or famine. If they're from regions that had dry season monsoons, it can be feast or famine. If they're areas that had farming practices and food stores that had regular amounts of food as the year went on, oftentimes they can kind of eat garbage food for a lot of their life because their body is set to metabolize that year round. If you come from feast or famine areas, your body will pack on weight like crazy because it's expecting to go like 3 months without any steady food and have to work off those fat stores. I remember I was working at a restaurant in college. We had this girl. She was lovely and she was nice, but she was definitely anorexic. A lot of things that happened in her life, like her boyfriend of 4 years dumped her right at college graduation. At the same time, her mom died and her family moved. And it was just like a lot of stuff went on. So I think psychologically she went towards controlling her diet because it was the one thing in her life she could control. And as a result, she was extremely skinny. And anyway, it was a slow day at the restaurant. Like the one customer's in there, we're just chatting with them. And it turns out they were a medical doctor specialized in nutrition. And she walks up and she's like, so what's the best diet to have? Totally expecting him to be like, be a vegan, don't eat very much. And he was like, eat a little bit of everything, but not too much. And that was it. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, have a little meat, have a little eggs, have a little veggies, have a little fruit, have a little sugar. Your body needs all of it. Just don't do too much of it in any one of those things and you're probably going to be okay. And it just like almost made her angry. But some people do benefit. If you have way too much carbs in your diet, right? Way too much. You're eating donuts, 75 donuts a day, and you do not have the metabolism or the activity level to process that stuff. Yeah, you're gonna make your liver all fatty, and you're gonna blow up your pancreas, and you're gonna be pre-diabetic or diabetic, whatever. If you eat nothing but meat all day, you're, especially like red meats and stuff, you're just gonna clog your arteries, and that'll be it, right? So you gotta do something active in your life. And you just can't overdo it on the food. So if your problem has been too many carbohydrates, yeah, cut the carbohydrates out, add a little more protein. But if you had too much protein, your heart, colon cancer, etc. So, not too much of anything. And there you go. I mean, sometimes you get old and stuff just fails anyway, and you have no say in the matter. But be active. Being active is probably as important as anything else. Get out there, walk, play a sport, play with the kids, play with the dog, do something. Just get out and move around at some point during the day. Get your heart rate up, get your muscles limbered. That's probably as good as you can probably do when you get into advanced years. Take up swimming. Swimming is a fantastic low impact, super cardio, builds your muscles, gets your heart just freaking strong. And you don't have to worry about like busting your joints like you do playing other sports in your advanced years. So I don't know if I answered your question at all, but I went on a rant there. I've been in a ranty mood the last couple of weeks. Have you guys noticed? Bill G. Putel. Technically, RC said Trump 665 times today and once on Saturday. Add them together and you get 666. Oh, that's what you're asking. That's what the 666 thing was. Was it that long? I know there was like spaces in some of it, and people were counting it up and saying there's dates, or there was, I don't know, all sorts of things. But yeah. So I'll let somebody who loves picking apart the riddles and puzzles do that, because I'm tired, boss. I'm tired, and I'm sure he's doing a puzzle. I just don't like that he's doing a puzzle invoking our next dictator and appearing to do so in a favorable light. It does not make me happy. Okay. Bung Magoo, Cohen made statement. That he did. D says, special show, it's late here. Well, it's a special show because I just didn't get off my ass to do a show earlier, and then I had to go pick some plums, deliver a bunch of plums, and hang out with my mom. So, late night show it is. Turkish, where the fuck is the money, Hustowski? Where indeed? D. Charles asked ChatGPT options questions, even specific to fidelity, and it was so helpful. Well, there you go. That's a good way to do it. Bill G. I'm going to start a space soon on my evening run. Come join the gang. I've got some good tinfoil to lift your spirits, bud. All right. I don't know when the evening run starts for you, but I will probably be going for at least another half hour or so. It's going to get really warm in here. It's 82 before. Oh, it's down to 78, it says. But I just got enraged, so that's probably why I'm especially warm now. You got my blood boiling, and now my core temperature's up. Turkish, my thumbs are gone. The edges are gone. Bones are gone. It's just, you're just this now. There's nothing left. Not even nubs. Just two bloody stumps. Colin's here. Sujo Kojenik. Houston, how are you? By the way, bitch-ass Kenny didn't donate to Trump, but Congress and Senate and avoided donating to Trump, so I don't think Trump sold out. Apparently those two can't stand each other. Well, interesting. That then probably means Jamie Dimon's going to be the Treasury Secretary, so... Louis, it's also 82 degrees in our bedroom. I feel for you, Louis. I really do. It's really humid right now, too. It's usually not very humid here, but today the air was still a whole bunch of big storm clouds built up over the Cascade Mountains, so it's like thundering and lightning over there. It just made all of Puget Sound way more humid than normal, and I feel like I've got a glisten about me as a result of it. Like Forrest Houston, anything new in MMTLP? That lawsuit against Ari Rubenstein, and that they are rejiggering their 10K. That's about it. First Day Productions, Trump tweet was about docket 665. We can go look at docket 665. That's what easy to do. Kroll, restructuring, BBBY. Let's see what docket 665 is. 665, boom. Docket 665. Notice further extension date deadlines related to debtors' bidding procedures, blah, blah, blah. Filed by debtor, Bed Bath & Beyond Incorporated, 92 order, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll just do that, and then hopefully that'll open, and I can get the Adobe to work, because sometimes it doesn't. And open, man. Open, man. Okay. Whoops. It disappeared. Come back. You. Alright. Come on. Get tall. And get wide. There we go. Come on, get tall. Get tall. Oh my god, close. I want the AI assistant. I'd never want an AI assistant. Just leave me alone, Clippy. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing because that's still up. You die. You live. There we go. Okay, so please take notice, April 23rd, 2023, above caption debtors and debtor blah 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 blah. Approval auction bidding procedures, approval stalking horse bid protections, scheduling bid deadlines and auction. So this is all about the stalking horse that happened. So if he wants us to read this one, let us know that he was involved with the stalking horse. Interesting. So, stalking horse deadline was Mya. Notice potentiality consumed was Mya. Final bid deadline, Bya, and then the auction. And that's when Overstock came out with Bed Bath, and Dream on Me came out with Baby. And then now all of a sudden Dream on Me apparently isn't even a partner for Baby anymore. So, yeah. Things, man. Things. Okay. Attaining oneness. Hope you enjoyed Heaven Shall Burn, Rock God. I did. Thank you for sending me the links. I finally got through it. They do. They shred. It's absolutely just... And Lobi just got here, who is loafing on the bed tonight. This is Bumper. My roommate's last name is Carr, so she is Bumper Carr. She never comes up here and visits, but last night I found her sleeping in this room, and tonight looks like she took over the bed, and she is a shed machine. Oh my goodness! I mean, just look at the hair. I stroked her 3 times. Look at that. Just absolutely, that's criminal, cat. Absolutely, just how do you do that? One pet. That's what I got after just one little stroke with fingers. Super Batman does not do that. He's a forest cat. He sheds very little. Monkey Butt, with her short hair, you never notice her shedding at all. That is... Oh, Bumper. But if you're going to sleep in an 80-degree room, I guess you got to get rid of all your fur. So, yeah. Fatal Wraith, Trump. Don't block me. Julio talked me into saying this. Crane Green, gifted some memberships. Fred Jones, Connie Chong, Chris Lindley, Julian Fikuru, Mindbody. All right. Well, there we go. That was one regular. There's a lurker. There's a lurker. There's a lurker. There's a lurker. So we got 4 lurkers. That's an 80% lurker poll. That is like the best netcast we may have ever had when it comes to gathering lurkers via lurker fishing, Cran Green. So good job, buddy. Nice. There you go. Okay. Jeremy Hargrove, any updates from Rosa? Feels like she's given up in the case. I've not heard from her. She told me to contact her after Ramadan. I did, and then I contacted her again. Then I wished her happy birthday back in May, and I never heard from her again, so I don't know if she'll ever respond to me again. I know she's a very busy lady. She just got married. She's trying to fight for her people in Palestine. She's trying to fight for all of her clients. She's overloaded as far as like cases go for clients, and then she's trying to do battle for MMTP all on her own in the appeals court. So she's got a lot going on, and you know, I can totally understand if her coming on the show and talking with us is not high on her priority list. I totally understand. I would love for her to come on because she's fantastic, but you know, she's got a life to live, and we've got to respect that. So hopefully someday, maybe she'll have like an hour where she can go, okay. But maybe she might take that hour to like sleep. I totally get that as well. So, but if Rosa, you want to come on? Please come on. You're always welcome. You are a friend of the show. Frozen State Productions. What does open interest mean? People buying or options made available? Open interest is how many contracts are out there. So if we go back to the GameStop option chain here, I gotta get rid of the Adobe now. Bing. So what we have is volume. This is how many have traded back and forth, whether it was selling, closing, or opening, right? And open interest is how many exist. So there are call options people have at $3, and there's 17 of them in existence. Okay, cool. And 3 of them were either closed, opened, or sold today. Now you get up to the big number stuff, like the $30 range. You have as of this morning, there were 77,580 contracts at $30 that expire this Friday. And what happened is 48,836 of them were either purchased, meaning there's going to be larger open interest, closed, which means there's going to be fewer of them, and sold, which means they may have been sold and just disappeared forever because maybe a market maker bought it or something. So this number tomorrow morning might appear completely different. It might be half of what it is if they were all like exercised or sold off, or it might be 40,000 more. We don't quite know. We won't know until the morning exactly what it is. Now you can purchase programs like Unusual Whales, Access to Unusual Whales program, or get a Bloomberg terminal, and it'll tell you exactly how many have been getting purchased and what the, because it'll show you like level 2s like you would see when you're trading a stock. But in this case, I don't know because I don't pay for one of those systems. I just know that a whole bunch of stuff was going on, and this number is really big. That's a big number right there. So if for some reason we add $3 to our stock price between now and close on Friday, we push a bunch of shares in the money, which means a hell of a gamma for Monday. Barring someone, diluting by another 40 or 70 million shares. So that's what open interest is. Open interest is the how many exist. Implied volatility is sort of the odds of the price changing a lot between now and the expiration date. And the implied volatility is actually still kind of low when you're at near the money here. So that's because the price has not gone crazy. When we were seeing the high volatility, the near the money stuff would be over 300%, and those contracts would be, this contract that's $1.57 would probably be like $400, $4, sorry, per share. So the premium on it would be really high if this number was like 300% or more. But it's still pretty low because it's going up, but it's not going up in like huge spurts of 5 and 10% where they have to do halts and things. So implied volatility is low at the moment. Green-Eye Bandit Elixir doesn't sound too hopeful. RCEO just diluting and dividing. This movement might be done. I know he's got some double meaning in every little tweet he does, but still, but billionaires be billionaires, man. You have to approach every billionaire with some level of skepticism, because you have to figure out what it is they truly want. Because what they want is what they're going to get. And if what they want involves steamrolling you, then that's what they're going to do. You don't become a billionaire by being a sweet, cuddly little kitten. You do it by basically steamrolling people until you get what you want. And just hope that the steamroll's going that way while we're over here somewhere. Hey, fat guy. What's up, dude? Yeah? Are you jelly because the orange cat has your space? Huh? You come up. Come on. Hey. I'll just be a floor cat then. Fine. Whatever. Since 54, holding 25 calls, 719, 25 call for 719, currently in the money. Hope it stays just volatile enough to collect a nice little profit. Also shift calling for buy and step down. The Pelosi is on the move. It sounds like Schumer and Jeffries have some sort of contingency plan concocted. A poll came out that showed like 75% of Democrats wanted Biden to step down. Now, Biden's brain might be fine. His ability to spit out what he wants to say, not so fine. His ability to move around, not so fine either. Sometimes you just, you're no longer at the top of your game, right? I don't know if you guys remember, like Pele played for too many years. You also have all sorts of players that just like played a season too long, and they got a little long in the tooth, and they just couldn't do it anymore. There comes a time you just can't do it. And that time comes in every form across the planet, whether it's business, romance, sports. You know, you just like, well, I had a good run. You made it. You made it to the top. You made it to President of the United States. Only 46 other people in the history of the universe has ever made it that far. Good job. You made it, right? You went out on top. And I don't think that's such a bad thing, right? I mean, no one's asking for Jimmy Carter to come back and take over and run at 100 million years old. So, you know, it might be time. If he's still there, I'm gonna hold my nose and vote for him because, you know, voting for a doddering old man who represents the status quo is measurably better than voting for a doddering old man who wants to destroy the entire country. So those are the two options. I'm gonna go with the status quo because at least it's not, you know, aggressively trying to destroy the U.S. dollar, make women stuck in abusive relationships, imprison immigrants, dehumanize minorities, fill the government with sycophants and cronies, and eliminating the competence of the government bureaucracy. Those things I just can't rectify. I can't sit with. It doesn't work for me at all. So, there you go. Jay says, dude, Biden needs to go. He's an evil old man. I don't think he's necessarily an evil old man, but he's definitely an old man. Bashir or Polis could beat Trump. I think, you know, a rock with a smiley face painted on it could beat Trump if you put him up there. He's just, yeah. Warren McGowan, 2 years ago, he was crashing bikes and gasping upstairs. Have you ever seen Trump ride a bicycle there, Warren? Like, does he even know how to ride a bike? Has he exercised in the last 15 years? He has to hold someone's hand to walk down a wheelchair ramp. It's, you got two doddering old men. He fell asleep in like 80% of the days he was in trial, just cold ripping farts while asleep in front of everybody. That's not, he calls people Sleepy Joe. He slept through his son's speech tonight at the convention. Like, we got two dudes who need to just retire and stay retired. That's it. We need some young blood in this country, and not like the boomers had their time. They did. They had their time. Congratulations, you did it. But if we want to affect change that will help people who will be alive for the next 50 years, we're going to have people who have experienced just the colossal amount of weirdness that has happened over this time and been the primary demographic it was happening to. The people who fought these forever wars, the people who you know, were in the trenches during COVID, the people who, you know, grew up in this permanent terrorist fear state of mind. Like, we need those folks to kind of take the reins for a little while. It's yeah, like, you know, the 1960s had their time, man. It's time for a new era. Alexander K. Hey, Brother Houston. How did humans come to realize that neutrinos exist? Ooh. So neutrinos were calculated out. They were hypothesized originally because when they're trying to figure out the energies involved in forming atoms, breaking atoms apart, forming larger atoms through fusion, splitting them apart through fission, and so on, that there was little pieces to the energy equation that just didn't seem to work, right? So you smack two things together, it produces this much in electron volts. Well, there was a couple of things. When you would do it, you'd measure it, and then you would see that there's more energy there than what you see in just electron volts coming from that collision. And the same thing when you break stuff apart, right? And so they were theorized to exist. They call them neutrinos because they think they came from breaking apart the nucleus and whatever. And it was theorized that a whole bunch of them were coming out of the sun at all times. They're just like neutrino central coming from the sun, neutrino, neutrino, neutrino. But they must have been so small that they just kind of missed everything. And so if you think about the nucleus, like if this was the nucleus of an atom, right? You got your little protons and neutrons all packed in here. The orbiting electrons would be like 1,000 miles away. That's the scale of what, like, more than 99.999999% of an atom is nothingness. And so if neutrinos don't act, don't react to gravity or electromagnetic force, the odds of a neutrino passing through an atom and actually hitting the nucleus or hitting an electron and affecting some sort of reaction, such as energy coming out, light coming out, is very low. So what they did was they created a whole bunch of heavy water. And heavy water is water that's it's H2O, but the hydrogens all have a neutron attached to them. So they're heavy, right? So the deuterium hydrogen attached to an oxygen makes them a little denser. You pack that water in there, you can stack it up really high so that you can kind of Swiss cheese model and cover, a lot of the vector of a neutrino. And then you calculate the mass and velocity of that neutrino. If it hits the nucleus of one of those atoms, or if it manages to somehow hit an electron, very hard, it will let off a certain amount of light. And that light will pass through the water, because water is transparent, as we all know. It'll pass through that light, hit a photomultiplier, and that photomultiplier will be like, oh my God, it's this! This wavelength came out. And so you fill this gigantic chamber, huge, giant chamber full of water. You have these photomultipliers in this sphere around it, so that if any light gives off in any direction, it can hit those suckers and let us know if one hit. So one of the biggest ones in existence is the Ashra neutrino detector in Hawaii, which is built in a giant lava tube deep underground. You want to make sure that other cosmic rays aren't coming through. Only the neutrinos are passing through. And in 6 months, with like trillions of neutrinos a second passing through this sucker, they would get like 200 hits. So the odds of a neutrino actually hitting one of those nucleus, giving off a photon of light so the machine goes, oh my God, one exists, is, it's all practical purposes. I don't even know if you could put that into a calculator. The calculators go, that's zero. The odds of it happening is basically zero. Because if you have trillions of them passing through a second, and maybe once a day, if you're lucky, it actually hits one of the cajillions of atoms, the nucleuses of cajillions of atoms inside this chamber, which is, like a football field cubed of heavy water, is pretty remarkable. But we now, the first neutrino detectors were probably built and successful, the 80s or 90s. Now we can actually get to the point that it makes it sensitive enough that we can calculate neutrino flux, which is pretty crazy. Because now, like, oh my gosh, we just got 2 hits. That means all of a sudden the amount of neutrinos doubled for some reason. And we'd be like, there's some event happening somewhere. And that can tell us if there's like, someone did a nuclear test, if 2 stars just collided, all sorts of crazy things like that. So that's, that's the best way I can describe it. My Ahia, I don't know if you guys remember Ahia. She's my Hawaiian friend. 3 years ago, when I was visiting Hawaii, she would come on the show every once in a while when I was doing my shows from the park. Her uncle ran the Ashra Project. He's a PhD physicist at the University of Hawaii, and he ran the Ashra Project for years. I don't know if he's still running it or not. He might be retired by now, if he's lucky. But yeah, he ran that program for quite a long time. So, yeah. Okay, I'm missing super chats. Where am I? That was Cran Green giving things away. Anonymous, how does Bitcoin go up if the dollar goes down? In the end, isn't the dollar what backs it, i.e. US Tether coin? Well, yeah. US dollar Tether coin is exactly what makes Bitcoin price go up. They just minted 1 billion more Tether coin this weekend. And what the price do? Why? Because they mint a whole bunch and then they just buy Bitcoin with it. Bitcoin goes up. I think the idea behind these like techno douchebags is that if you make the dollar go, then it takes more dollars to buy Bitcoin. Therefore, Bitcoin's worth more. I think that's the way their brain is working. It would be like, how would I phrase this? It happens with gold, right? Or it happens with oil too. Like if gasoline is $1 a gallon, and you make a whole bunch of dollars out there, the inflation is going to cause that same amount of gasoline to be $5 a gallon. That's the mentality behind Bitcoin, is that Bitcoin will be worth more dollars if there happens to be way more dollars out there. And that's why they want to destroy the US dollar and make it so that someone from Europe with a euro can get like a 5-to-1 exchange rate and be like, whoa, it'll be way cheaper for us to build our factories in the United States of America and have them make our back scratchers than it would be in China. And then all of a sudden everyone's just making back scratchers here, and you don't need anyone to go to college anymore because we're all just indentured slaves working for the company, making plastic back scratchers for everyone. Because they won't need us to go to college because we'll have AI. AI will be our judge, jury, and executioner at that point. So, yeah. Belgian whale at 7:15 here. Going to be 27 degrees here today. That's warm in real people numbers. Going for a run, walk the dog, see you later. 27, let's see here. I'm not going to do the math in my head. 27 C in Fahrenheit. 80.6. That's all right. I mean, my office is warmer than that right now. I always love, like in the UK especially, they're like, oh, it's a heat wave. Watch this ice cream bar melt. It's going to be 20 C today. And that is, what, like 70? 68. Cool. It was, last Tuesday, it was 98 degrees, which is 36.6 C last Tuesday. And that's our highest since it was 48.8 C 3 years ago. That's our record. That was really hot, almost 50 C. That's just gross. That's weather that will definitely kill you if you don't have relief from it. 27 C that's comfy. That's like a perfect day. 80, oh, just perfect. Sit out in the yard, get a nice breeze going, just delicious. Okay. Where am I? Okay, that's Neutrinos one. Nonomoth. Did Winnie the Pooh in China have a heart attack? The rumor was he had a stroke, but there's been no confirmation as far as I know. If it's heart attack, stroke. I mean, there was all sorts of rumors a couple of years ago that he had died. It was like during COVID, and he hadn't made an appearance in a long time. So like, oh, he's dead. But yeah, he's an old guy. Old guy. Things happen to old guys. It just happens to young guys too. Just have a stroke, have a heart attack. So it may have happened. We've got no confirmation, and it'll probably be a while until we get some. Yeah. Jay says they will win with Bernie. I don't think they're going to run Bernie though. I think it's going to be. I give it 50% chance it's Kamala Harris, 25 it's Newsom, 25 that's Whitmer. It's going to be one of those three. Most likely Harris because she's already VP, and it would just be she would have an absolute conniption if she wasn't just promoted to it. Like, let's say Biden drops out because of health reasons. If he drops out because of health reasons, then the 25th Amendment comes in place and Harris becomes president. And then you just run her because she's already president, thus the incumbent, right? So that to me seems the way more likely case. And then you take a Newsom or Whitmer and you make them VP. I think that's much more likely than anything else at this point. So we might have our first woman president if that happens. So there you go. Stating one says Obi Kamala. I think you're right. Fred Jones, plums keep you regular. Don't I know it? This time of year, you got to protect that O-ring, man. Because, woo! Yeah. Oh, there's a reset of the chat. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh. Jay, I remember when the supersized me bought pizza with Bitcoin. One dude who bought pizza with like 11,000 Bitcoin, that guy still to this day is like, yeah. Roaring Titty. Whoa there, buddy. Deep breaths. We'll get there. KLDG Houston play Trivia Crack with me. If I play Trivia Crack, then I won't get anything else done throughout the day. That's one lesson I learned. I need to limit my trivia prowess to pub trivia nights where I can win things. And the nights when my friends want to play all of them against me in a game of Trivial Pursuit, which is usually how it goes. It'll be me versus like 15 people. And I win. But yeah, at one point I had like $600 in gift cards to the brewery, and I do not drink beer. I found a few of them the other day. What did I do with those things? I found them when I was cleaning my desk, and now I don't remember. Oh, here's a couple. All right, here they are. Here's two of them. That one's for how much? Doesn't even say. Oh, that's just for 3 pints. This one is for 5 pints. And yeah. So I had a couple of them. I ended up just giving them to friends. I had just stacks of them from trivia night, and they started moving trivia night to whatever night I wasn't working. That's what happened. Is that all of a sudden they just move it to a different night, and I'd be working, and I have to like rearrange my schedule, and they would just move it back again. Don't you want someone like me to win? Because I won't redeem any of that for beer, and then you end up making money off of it. So it seems like that, yeah. Fatal Wraith Houston Unchained. Rowan Titty Houston was just about almost rapping. I love seeing a meltdown live. There you go. You got what you wanted. Yeah. Attaining oneness, JD Vance is a class trader. Boom. Exactly. Yeah, that's what he is. Everyone can work in the coal mine. You don't need to go to college to work in a coal mine. Except for me, I got to go to college, so fuck all of you. That's kind of JD Vance's entire thing. Rosamund whooped my ass instead, Houston. Let's go 1 for 1 on the LSAT. All right. Okay. Cookie de Capo, what you're saying is game night is going to be real. Mm-hmm. Yep. Jay, you're a cool guy, but just 2 days ago you were in denial about Biden's decline. When have I ever been in denial about Biden's decline? When? Not once ever said, oh, he's fine. No, I've never once said that. I said I will choose him over a dictator in waiting, hands down. I would pick a vegetable in a bed over Donald Trump. I would pick you know a rando off the street who has no clue about anything over Donald Trump. I just would, because he's a known quantity, and there's a chance that a rando off the street isn't going to be a gigantic, colossal piece of shit. So I would definitely pick pretty much anyone in existence over Donald Trump at this point, because I know Donald Trump is awful, and a random person, you know, there's a 50-50 chance they won't be awful. So that is a better odds than Donald Trump. Roaring Titty, kids and women don't matter, Houston, remember? That's why they don't want no-fault divorce. Exactly. They only care about them before they're born. Once they're born, well, tough shit, kid, you're on your own. Marriage is a business contract. It is. I mean, you got to get county involved and everything. Dragon Viking, I love this, Houston. We need more of this. Knowledge is power. Stating oneness, JD Vance is incredibly boring. He's the bag man for Trump. That's all. Because Trump needs the tech bro fascist money. It's true. That's what he got. JD Vance carries their water and will do whatever Peter Thiel tells him to do. So you're electing basically Peter Thiel, who is not an American, who's from South Africa. He belongs to like 6 different nations as a citizen, and he can't run himself. And he's got really weird history with possibly killing his lovers. So there's that too. He also had a meltdown not too long ago. He said he was going to be supporting Trump because all of his lovers were like, ew, why do you support Trump? And he was like, because I'm an asshole. And he stopped getting laid. So, but apparently he must have found somebody to have lots and lots of sex with him so that he can support Trump again. JD Vance is the neocon placed there to keep Trump in line. He also might be the guy that makes it so that he's so awful that you don't want Trump to die because then you're stuck with JD Vance. Royale with cheese. Marriage don't suck when it works, though about half of marriages don't work out is saying something. Yeah. I mean, most of the time when you date somebody, it doesn't work out, right? And sometimes you date somebody, it's not working out, and you think getting married is going to fix it, and it does not. Or, you know, someone doesn't show their true self until you get married. I had a cousin that got married. She's an opera singer. He was an actor. And they had he was happy, fun, travel, woo. They got married, and instantly he was like, you must quit your job as an opera singer and stay at home and do my bidding. And she was like, whoa, buddy. A, I'm a more successful opera singer than you are an actor. And B, that's not going to fly. I like singing opera, so I will continue. And the marriage definitely broke up at that point because what they expected out of marriage was completely different than what they had in mind. So those things happen as well. And people can get fooled for a long time and realize, oh my God, they've been a monster this entire time. That also happens. So, yeah. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes like, you know what? I don't like you. And that should be reason enough to not be stuck in a marriage anymore. Like a lot of the kids I know, the ones who got really messed up, like lost their minds, went on coke binges and whatever, were the ones where the parents stayed together. They hated each other's guts, but they put on a strong face for the kids and they stayed together for years and years and years and years and years. And the youngest kid finally went to college and they get, fuck this, and they got divorced. Those kids were like, oh my God, my entire life was a lie. And they're just like, and they go crazy and they lose their minds because they don't know how to rectify the fact that their entire life was a lie. And sometimes you just got to be honest with kids, right? Like a lot of parents aren't honest with their kids. I'm a child of divorce, but my parents are still friends. Like my old ass dad still goes to my mom's house and helps her put up a shelf and do things like they're still friends. They still enjoy each other's company. Just the marriage was not meant to be. And when they got divorced, I was required by the school to go to like divorce counseling for kids. So all the kids in school whose parents were getting divorced, we'd go in this room and the school counselor would be like, all right, everybody, we're going to watch this little video. And the entire video would be like, some kids like, it's all my fault. And then someone would be like, it's not your fault, Billy. Your father and I just don't see eye to eye anymore. And we're splitting apart. Like, it's not you. You are not the reason for this. It was us as the adults. And then the teacher would read a story, had the exact same plot. And then the little girl next to would be like, no, it's all my fault. Then she would have some talking dolphin puppet go, it's not your fault, little Tiffany. Your parents just don't love each other anymore. It has nothing to do with you. And then come to me like, Houston, it's not your fault. I'm like, I know it's not my fault. My dad lives in Japan. I did not make him go to Japan. I was 4 years old when he went to Japan. It's pretty obvious to me that they're getting divorced because he is halfway around the world. And I only see him twice a year. You just got to be honest with him. You just tell him like, hey, be honest, laying it out. It's just not going to work. I have to be like, the sex isn't good anymore or whatever. But just tell them, like, explain it to kids. Kids are adaptable. They get it. And then go from there. You don't have to, like, hide it. Be like, well, your father's going to go away for a little while and he's in some sad apartment somewhere just binge drinking. Like, be honest with them. Just kids understand things. You can explain stuff to them. That's their entire purpose in life, is to, like, gather information and process it. That's what I'm saying. Roaring Titty, I like to call a potato. Well, there you go. Rupert Trooper, that's great and all. You can read and very studious, but can you see why mids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch? I don't know who mids is, but I love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Matt Johnson, I'm surrounded by assholes. Yeah. Eric, I realize the allure of power, influence, and payoffs, but why would Dimon want to take the Treasury Secretary position? It would be a pay cut and a drop in influence, actually. If you can control the money, you can control a lot. People like that do not accept roles like that unless it will absolutely benefit them. And watch, the fat cat is going to bother the orange cat and kick her off the bed because he's an asshole. Right? That's exactly what he's going to do. He's sniffing butthole right now, and then he's going to start swatting because that's what he does. There we go. There's the war. Yep. Orange cat is gone. That is what I call a prediction. All right. But yeah. Steve Mnuchin did it. Steve Mnuchin got the all sorts of things. Steve Mnuchin obviously took the treasury role because he got something out of it. And you take the treasury role if you're that kind of person because you're going to get something out of it. I think roles like the treasury and SEC should only go to academics, not industry people in any way, shape, or form. But then again, I don't think you should use roles like that to enrich yourself. Yeah. I'm gonna do a couple more, and then I'm so warm right now. I need to like go eat some more plums downstairs. Daddy Powder, Trump was saved by divine intervention. A Christian prophecy predicted the attempt on Trump 3 months ago with great accuracy. Cool. So that fire chief who got obliterated with the 226 round, was God like, fuck that guy? That's what I say. Like when a whole bunch of kids get slaughtered at Uvalde or Marjorie Stone Douglas or Columbine, or a bunch of people get blown away at a Walmart in El Paso, was it because God was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, I don't care about you? Right? Like that's the problem is if you believe that God stepped in and made it so that Trump wouldn't get shot, why wouldn't God step in and make sure the bullet never came out of the gun in the first place? That's my beef with that whole thing. And why would God save somebody who's the physical embodiment of all 7 deadly sins? Is Trump all of a sudden like on his knees going, oh my goodness, I have seen the light? Or is he instead like golfing and sleeping through his son's speech at the RNC? That's like, there could be a prophecy. I saw a video of a guy claiming that he did the prophecy, but I couldn't find the original video from 3 months ago. I just found his screenshot recording of that video that next day, saying 3 months ago I predicted this. He could be a fortune teller. God could come down and said, listen here, USOB, I want you to pump XRP and talk about how Trump will get shot in the ear. It seems like a really weird side quest for God in that case. Yeah, just an XRP pumper is the one who made the prediction. Cool. Or Diddy, there should be no either. There should be several choices. Oh, we should definitely have an election system where numerous parties can be involved and numerous parties can find representation at the federal level and form coalitions. But our current system will not allow for that, especially with first past the post elections. So that's just going to make for a two-party system, and then every once in a while you might get an independent or a third party in there as an anomaly, as an outsider, an outlier. But until we have runoffs for every single election, it's not going to happen. And especially with the electoral college system. The electoral college system is a relic of slavery. It is. You know, here, let's pull up. Let's see if I can find okay. Nope, I want the election results. Come on, go back. Come on, dude. Don't give me this crap. Just go back. There we go. Come on, internet. You got it for me? No, let's do searching. Try to give me the state election totals. No, not. I don't want the state election totals. I want the votes. He give me the electoral votes. I want the physical votes from 1792 elections. Total number of votes. Okay, will Wikipedia at least give it to me? Candidates, Federalist nomination, Democratic nomination, campaign results. Okay. All right. I want electoral vote. I want popular vote. Okay, that only gives me that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh wait, Rhode Island didn't have it. Was it 1796 then was the one that had? All right, I gotta go 1796. Sorry, one sec. 1796 vote tallies election. No, don't give me the AI crap, dude. Just quit giving me AI crap. Okay, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. What I want is the one that shows me. Oh my God. Give me Virginia. Where's Virginia? Here we go. All right. This will show. All right. Here we go. All right. Look at this table here. Okay. So back in the 1796 election, you got to vote if you were white, you were male, and you owned land. Right? And then your vote would count towards the weight of the state's population, giving you that power in the Electoral College. Now, you go to a place like Massachusetts, which had Boston, Pennsylvania, which had Philadelphia, right? New York, well, New York didn't have popular vote. I think they did. They just had their electors just select. But you can look at places like Massachusetts, 7,848 votes. Basically, they're implying that. The total votes here. 9,000 total votes, right? That they're implying that there are more landowners in Massachusetts than there are in a state like Virginia, where they had 5,000 total votes. Pennsylvania had 24,000 total votes because they had the biggest city in the country at the time. So they had more landowners. People owned little plots of land in urban areas, right? But you go to a place like Virginia, and landowners had hundreds or thousands of acres each. But those hundreds of thousands of acres each were full of slaves. So this is where the 3/5 compromise came in. Philadelphia was like, hey, man, we have all the people who own land. We should have more electoral votes. And Virginia's like, more people live in our state, though, even though they don't own land. And Pennsylvania's like, but they're slaves and they have no rights. And so the solution was, well, we won't make them a total person. We'll make them 3/5 of a person. They get to be 60% of a person, and we'll count that towards our stats. And like, okay, well, how do we rectify that? And New Jersey was like, how about we have the Electoral College, and we'll count the population, with slaves being 3/5 of a person, total. So you can vote whoever you want, but whoever gets the most of those votes, then the Electoral College sends those votes on up. And everyone's like, well, New Jersey is like this New England, liberal, whatever. New Jersey and Connecticut were slave states at the time. Slavery was legal in those places, so they thought they were doing the slave owners a solid by creating the Electoral College. Now, one of the things that should have happened is we should have obliterated the Electoral College with the 13th and 14th Amendments. We should have been like, yeah, Electoral College is done, we're just going to do popular vote. Because this system was intended to reward slave owners for owning more land than anyone else. That was the entire point of the Electoral College. Like more land by volume, not more land and plot-wise. So that those city slickers in Philadelphia and New York couldn't dictate our elections. And as a result, 36 years of the first 40 years of this country's existence, Virginia dominated the presidency. All because of the Electoral College vote, which was a legacy of slavery. And today we still have it. It doesn't matter what the popular vote is, as long as all these teeny tiny little states where no one lives, and they've got a larger weight Electoral College wise than anyone else. You can look at it in our allotment of members of the House of Representatives, right? So Wyoming, really tiny state population wise, 400 and whatever thousand people live in Wyoming. They get one rep for their state. That's it. California, big state. They have 52 of them or whatever. But Wyoming gets their one rep for 400,000 people. California gets one rep for every like 700 or 800,000 people. So in reality, California is underrepresented by about 100% than someplace like Wyoming. So Wyoming's vote is worth more than a California vote as a result. And that is the legacy of slavery in this country. And we have this antiquated, dumbass system where we have to fight in just a couple of states because we have to win those couple of states rather than just looking at the entire country as a whole and trying to appeal to everyone in that country. And until we have a constitutional amendment that wipes this crappy legacy of slavery off the map, we're going to be stuck with our dumb binary choices every election cycle. So if you want to see more parties get a chance, eliminate that. Problem is that the two parties who are in power would make the decision to eliminate the Electoral College. That's why it's a completely broken system and will remain broken and will remain a binary system essentially until this country tears itself apart again and we just rewrite it. That's why Trump can lose by 3 million votes in 2016 and still become president. Because the stupid Electoral College math allowed that to happen. You could have had, all 40 million residents of California voting for Hillary Clinton and it wouldn't matter because a bunch of farmers in the middle of the country, few farmers in the middle of the country, voted otherwise and had more power in the Electoral College as a result. And you can get weird things happen too. Like in 2000, I think it was 2000, more people voted in Michigan than in Florida. But Florida got more electoral votes. So the voter turnout in Florida was garbage in 2000. And Florida decided our election that year and not Michigan. More people voted in Michigan and Florida got more votes as a result. Just a absolutely dumb system we have, right? It's silly. We should allot, Wyoming is one rep at 400,000 people. And then we should assign all the other reps around the country, give them, every district should be 400,000 people in size, and then grant them a representative as a result. That's what we should do. And if we were to like make, I don't know, the Virgin Islands of state, then Virgin Islands would be the smallest state in the country at 120,000 or whatever. Then every single solitary district after that should be 120,000 people. Originally, this Constitution had a member of Congress for every 30,000 people. Was what the plan was. Like, oh man, I can't imagine having a city larger than 30,000 people. And now we've got cities of 10 million. So they capped it at 435 members, which is stupid because it makes it unequal across the entire country, giving way more power to these rural areas than to where everyone lives. Back this time, right? Like 3% of the country was urban in 1796. 3%. 80% is urban today. So yeah, back then 97% of the country lived in the sticks, right? Well, they weren't landowners. They were usually like indentured servants or slaves or, sharecroppers or whatever. But they did live in the country. Now, 80% of the people live in the city, and the cities are completely disenfranchised by this stupid, antiquated slavery legacy that we have. So, yeah, there you go. That's, there's like fifth rant of the show today. All right. I know I said I was going to go to like 10:30, but no, I might as well go to 11 now. So 9 more minutes. We'll just do 9 more minutes because why not? I've just been in rant central here, just sweating my balls off in the office. It says 78 degrees. What is it now? What does that thing say now? Now it's back to 82. So it's back to 82 in here. I've been ranting so much. I just put it up 4 degrees. What's happening? I always like to check the midnight market here and see what's happening. Is it still absolute? What we got going on? Nope. No action whatsoever happening in the midnight market. Volume is teeny tiny. We're gonna 500 shares here, 1,000 shares there in the candles. So the weird midnight 24-hour trading system that isn't actually true and honest at all is trading flat tonight. Warren McGowan, no new wars versus World War III. Pedophilia celebrated, drag queens in the White House, laughing stock of the world. A little amazing. Our friend Sears Reborn was trying to make those same arguments with me earlier today, and I pointed out that Donald Trump, in the first 22 months he was in office, did more drone strikes than Obama did in 8 years. And by the time he left office, he had done 3 times more drone strikes than Bush and Obama combined in 16 years in office. So they're like, oh, Obama dropped so many bombs. He pointed out that Obama dropped 27,000 bombs his last year in office. Donald Trump dropped 20,000 bombs in his first 6 months. So no, it wasn't that he didn't have wars. It's that he just bombed the shit out of everyone way more and then passed an executive order making it so he didn't have to tell us about it. That's the only difference. He literally passed a law saying, we don't have to tell you about our drone strikes anymore and who we killed. That's it. So they didn't talk about it anymore because no one had access to what he was doing with those drone strikes. And like the pedophilia celebrated, dude, did you read the latest dump of Epstein documents? There are victims and witnesses in the grand jury testimony talking about Donald Trump requesting specific little 12-year-old girls because he liked how perky their nipples were. Like fucking gross stuff. We're 3 a.m. phone calls to Epstein about massages, right? Like the dude already has 20 plus women accusing him of sexual assault. He got his ass kicked by Eugene Carroll in court over it twice. We've got Pecker at the National Enquirer, who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars burying sexual assault cases against Donald Trump by just paying these women off over years and years. We have women who were underage girls at the time running in the Miss Teen USA pageant talking about how Donald Trump would just bust in while they're naked and stare at them and bother them. Like, no, he's... it's not drag queens you have to worry about being pedophiles. It's youth pastors, Boy Scout leaders, athletic coaches, the ones who work their way into these positions to have as much access to little kids as they can. who are the ones who you need to worry about. Not some lady at a drag show where there's a whole bunch of adults usually present, singing, lip syncing to a Cher song. They're not like, oh, I'm going to get myself a whole bunch of little kids here at this bar. No. It's not. And what blows my mind is that so many people in this country hate the LGBT more than they love anything else. You could find something that they will hate gay people more than they love their own children. They'll use the excuse that, I don't want my son to grow up gay because I love him so much. No, they don't want him to grow up gay because they think if their son grows up gay, right, and is like, I'm going to live my truth and be gay, that it shows that their son has more balls than they ever did because they've been living a closeted, repressed life their entire life and have hated everyone who had the stones and the freedom to go, you know what, I'm going to live my truth. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't take much. You can take one semester of college psychology and go, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening most of the time. Is that these dudes really want the cock and they can't have it. So they're going to hate everyone who gets it. Just look at how much Grindr is blowing up at the Republican convention. Those dudes are there for a bunch of other dudes, and they're going to keep it all on the down low because they know their entire identity in the Republican Party demands that no one know about it. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal case study. It is, and you can measure it scientifically. Homophobic men are aroused by gay male porn. Okay. Even a man who thought that women want to have sex with their fathers and women spend much of their lives distraught over the lack of penis turned out to be right sometimes. This man, Sigmund Freud, theorized that people often have the most hateful, negative attitudes towards things they secretly crave but feel they shouldn't have. If Freud is right, then perhaps men who are the most oppressed to male homosexuality have particularly strong homosexual urges to other men. One study asked heterosexual men how comfortable and anxious they are around gay men. Based on these scores, they then divided these men into two groups, men who were homophobic and men who were not. These men were then shown 3 to 4 minute videos. One video depicted heterosexual sex, one depicted lesbian sex, and one depicted gay male sex. While this was happening, a device was attached to each participant's penis. This device has been found to be triggered by sexual arousal and not other types of arousal, such as nervousness or fear. Arousal often has a very different meaning in psychology than popular usage. When viewing lesbian sex and straight sex, both homophobic and non-homophobic men showed increased penis circumference. For gay male sex, however, only the homophobic men showed heightened penis arousal. Heterosexual men with the most anti-gay attitudes, when asked, reported not being sexually aroused by gay male videos, but their penis is reported otherwise. Heterosexual men who reported having the most anti-gay male attitudes were more aroused by gay male pornography than heterosexual men who had pro-gay male attitudes. What this means is that some hostility towards gay men from other men could be down to some men who have homosexual attraction forming particularly negative views in reaction to not accepting their own sexuality. What this doesn't mean, as I've seen others write, is that homosexuality is caused by anti-gay attitudes. No, people are born gay or not. They're born bisexual or not. That part isn't disputed. What this is about is the repressed sexuality of these men. Is that homosexuality or increased by it? The study cannot even test this, as homophobia was not manipulated across conditions. It was not a study designed that can test causality. The point is that these men already have this arousal naturally, but they block it because they do not see it as socially acceptable. They form extra strong anti-gay attitudes as a means of appearing heterosexual to others and perhaps trying to convince themselves they're entirely heterosexual. There are, of course, loads of gay men who are secure in their sexuality, so it clearly can exist without anti-gay attitudes. It also doesn't mean that heterosexual men who are homophobic are the most aroused by gay male pornography across all groups of people of all sexual orientations and all levels of homophobia. That is not a valid conclusion to reach based on the study. There were not even any homosexual people in the study, so we have no way of comparing their arousal with homophobic heterosexual men in the study who are aroused by the gay male pornography. So, this is a math test for you, because I know there's a particular math major in here. If homophobic men get the boners, bing, 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 when watching gay porn, they are at least bisexual. Right? You'd be like, oh, I'm straight. Are you? Are you presenting straight? Or are you at least bisexual, if not gay? That's what these scientific studies seem to show. Is you can say you're straight, you can demand that you're straight, but at some point, you're at least jerking it to another dude. I don't care what stage in your life you are. You're going to tug that pud and think about another dude while you're doing it. And whenever you come across somebody online who's so adamant, gays are the worst, brah, man, they are so repressed. There's nothing wrong with them that sex with a man can't fix. I'm serious. Like, they just need to be they need a safe space is what they need. And that safe space for a lot of them is a hotel room away from their family in Milwaukee this weekend. That's where we are, man. That is where we are on that. It's just live your truth, dude. You'll be happier. The people around you will be like, oh my gosh, like, what a relief. Finally. Just live your truth. That's it. I'd asked the guy earlier. He was complaining. He was like, trans people, blah, blah, blah. And Biden wants to help trans people. Who cares? Who gives a shit? They let them live their lives. They're not affecting you in any way, shape, or form. So I asked him, I said, hey, if you woke up tomorrow and you were in a woman's body, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in a woman's body. Would you try to change back? And he was like, I'll just stay a woman. I'm like, cool, you're trans. You secretly want to be a woman, and now you're like, all right, I get to live that life, and it just happened, magic. And if you try to if you're like, oh, I would try to change back, well, you're not allowed to, because we have anti-trans laws now, and you're stuck. You're stuck to live a life as a woman, and now what's your option going to be? Like, live that lie? Be like, I'm not a woman, I'm a dude, right? Or, which happens to a lot of trans people. And you can look at all sorts of studies, like studies of the brain of children and adults who are trans. Their brains are different than the sex that they were born into. Women who want to become men have brains much closer to cisgendered men, and men who want to become women have brains much closer to cisgender women. There are differences in how they operate and what parts of their brains fire at times. It's just the way they're born. And 1 in 50 children are intersex, meaning they're presenting both genitalia. And a lot of those kids who become trans later, their parents chose for them after their birth. They're like, make it a boy, right? And then they grow up and they're like, I don't want to be a boy. Why do I feel like I want to be a woman? Because their genealogy, their what should have happened when they were a zygote and they formed everything, it just didn't work out the way that their physiology probably should have. And now they're stuck living as an opposite sex because their parents chose it for them before they ever had the ability to form their own opinions. So, so much of the agenda of Project 2025 is about control and repression and hating on people who are just trying to live their lives. Like immigrants are usually fleeing shitty situations, right? There's no jobs at home, there's wars, there's gangs, there's a terrible government, etc. And they go, America's kind of got its shit together and I can make money there. And they come here and we go, fuck you, right? They're just trying to live their life, dude. That's all they're doing. Yeah, they're different. They bring with them culture and language and traditions that are different than what you're used to. But that doesn't make them any less human being than you are. right? It doesn't. And if you ever actually, like, I don't know, meet immigrants, whether documented or otherwise, you find out that they're just trying to live their lives. They're trying to send money home so that their kids can go to school, because they might be in a place where there's no public school. So they're trying to make a life for them. You know, you're not going to go wash dishes in a restaurant. Like, this room is 82 degrees. A dish pit in a restaurant is probably 105 and 100% humidity. We're talking like drips coming off the ceiling. It's disgusting. You smell gross at the end of it. It's an awful job. You're not going to go you're going to go pick lettuce in the sunshine, right? You're not going to go like pressure wash people's driveways or mow their yards or doing like the jobs that immigrants who aren't technically skilled, a lot of them came from shit existence. They didn't get to go to college. They didn't get to finish high school a lot of times. They're just going to do the jobs they can get so they can make sure their families live. And you're not taking those jobs. You know? The jobs that you might have to worry about are the H-1B visas, and you're okay with those folks. You know? Well, I was applying for a job, and this guy from IIT in India took it because he's got 5 PhDs. Right? You're not complaining about those dudes. But, man, just just focus on how to make people's lives the best they can be, and not how to just ruin them. That's my message. Just make everyone's lives better, not other people's lives worse, because you aren't willing to live your truth. You're too scared to live your truth. That's not their problem. That's a you problem. Somebody going out there being like, hey, I'm gay. I like dudes. Or I'm lesbian. I like the ladies. That has no effect on your well-being. Has no effect on anything else in your life. You don't have to have sex with them. They might not want to have sex with you. Right? It's like when dudes, like, they see a picture of Scarlett Johansson, like, not my type. Scarlett Johansson has no fucking clue who you are. She will never know who you are. And if you approached her, she would probably have a security detail beat you to shit. Just send you on your way. Like, these dudes who I don't know, suddenly find themselves at a gay pride rally. They don't know how they got there. Oh no. None of those dudes want to have sex with you, man. Not a single one. They're too busy with just a whole bunch of action that's going on around them. It is just, yeah, Jay, dish pit is good exercise. You do not find skinny people in a dish pit. That is for sure. It is like, if you're a wrestler in high school and you want to make weight, washing dishes is a fantastic way to do it. Just put on that big rubber apron and go to town, man. You will lose 10 pounds in a shift. You'll make weight for your wrestling meet the next day. It is aerobic. Yes. All right. KYP, my grandfather always said he who screams the loudest, probably gay. Yeah. So I've gone for more than 2 hours here. I had like 5 rants in this time. It's been a real ranty. You might just get rants from here on through November. Be prepared. Prepare yourselves. It's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of them. So let's make sure I get all super chats, because there was quite a few of them. And I got that one. Scroll up. Got that one. Got that one. Did that one. Okay, I got them all. Sweet. Surprised there's still 184 of you in here. I usually chase more of you away by this time in the evening. But, all right. I did not get all your chats. By all means, I am 2 hours behind, almost 2 hours behind the chat. So I'll do a show. If things get weird tomorrow, like prices explode, I'll probably do a show in the afternoon tomorrow. So you can save up those chats that I did not answer and get me more pissed off. It'll probably be a yard show tomorrow if it's daytime. Otherwise, I'll see you guys Friday. Does that sound cool? All right. Peace, love, happiness, live your truth, and where's my other one? I need to do After Dark 3. Boom. Go burgers. Cat off the bed and
Houston, we have a problem.
we had some pretty good internet today. The video did all right. So excellent. Comcast did not